Hi, I'm Véronique, makeup artist at Cirque du Soleil. Last week, I created a sweet look for celebrating Valentine's Day, the Cirque way. Today's look is called Flirty Florals. Be sure to check out the description below to get the full list of products for this look. For the flirty floral look, I decided not to use any colored contact lenses. The first step is the foundation. I chose a liquid foundation that matches my skin tone. I'm applying it with a foundation brush, making swirl movements. Then, I'm using the egg-shaped sponge to even out everything. The second step would be the highlight. You can use a cream-based highlight or a liquid highlight if you want. It doesn't really matter. I'm applying it with the sponge just to have a bit more coverage. You can also use a liquid foundation or a concealer. Just make sure to choose one that is at least 3 shades lighter than your own skin tone. The highlighted areas are the bottom part of the forehead, the bridge of the nose, under the eyes and on top of the cheekbone, on the nostrils, around the lips, and a tiny bit on the chin. For this step, I use a yellow cream color. I'm applying it in a V shape that touches the brow bone and the cheekbone. Make sure to blend out the edges so there's no harsh lines. For the blending, you can simply dab the brush on the sharp edges. Then, I use a bright coral cream blush. I'm applying it on my cheeks, blending with the end of the yellow. I also apply it a little bit on the tip of my nose and under the chin. After that is the eyebrows. For this one, I used a warm light brown pencil. You can brush your hair just to make sure they're not too crazy. Start drawing the eyebrows with the pencil. Then, you can switch to the lip brush to define the edges and fade out the beginning. After the eyebrows, I like to move on directly to the lips. Here I decided to use a bright coral lipstick. If you don't have a bright coral lipstick, it could also be the same product that you use as your cream blush. I started to apply the lipstick in the center of the lips, fading out towards the outline. Since this makeup is done the Cirque way, the next step would be the setting powder. To set the makeup, I usually hold my powder puff as a little taco, pushing the powder through all the layers of makeup. Be careful, before setting the makeup, make sure that the base is flawless and that you don't have any fingerprints or creases. Once you have applied the powder all over the face, make sure you remove the excess with a big brush. After the setting powder, we're ready to move on with powder eyeshadows. As my first eyeshadow color, I decided to use a yellow powder to go over the yellow cream color that we applied before. Then, I'm using a coral blush powder over my cream blush that I applied before on my cheeks, on the tip of my nose, and under my chin. You can blend the edges by doing little circular movement. Next step will be working on the eyes. For this one, I started to apply a warm pink eyeshadow over my eyelid. When I say to use a warm pink color, I mean to choose a color that is more on the coral side than on the purple side. You want to apply all over the eyelid, but you want to leave a little space under the eyebrows. Instead of a regular eyeliner under the eyes, I decided to draw little dots. For the dots, I simply used a brown eye pencil. You could also use a brown liquid liner. Whatever works. In case you need to do a little correction, you can use some cotton swabs. Back to the eyebrows. For this one, I'm using an orange eyeshadow that I'm applying with a wet brush. The reason why I'm using an orange eyeshadow over my brown pencil eyebrows is to give a natural ginger effect, and not too flat orange. The next step is a little bit unusual. I cut out some metallic bands from crafting paper. The hardest part is to glue them along the lash line. You can glue them by using some eyelash glue. To help the placement, use a pair of tweezers. Now, you can apply the mascara over your top lashes. Next step is the Shimmer Highlight. I'm applying the shimmer powder over the same area that I've done with the highlight cream color. That means on the bottom part of the forehead, on top of the cheekbones, on the bridge of the nose, around the lips, and a tiny bit on the chin. After that, using a smaller brush, I applied it under the eyebrows and at the inner corner of my eyes. Now I'm moving on to lip gloss. Instead of using a classic translucent lip gloss, I'm going for an holographic light purple gloss, and I'm applying it all over the coral lipstick. This look wouldn't be called Flirty Florals without flowers involved, right? For this one, I'm using real flowers that I cut out in small pieces. I'm gluing those flowers with eyelash glue. Here again, I would recommend you to use a pair of tweezers for the placement. After the flowers, glitters. To apply the glitter, simply spray a bit of makeup setting spray over the cheekbones. Then, dab on the glitter before it dries. For the final touch, I'm applying white pencil over the waterline. Alright, your look is complete. If you have any questions or suggestions on a makeup look you would like to see next, leave us a comment down below. For more Cirque du Soleil makeup videos, click here or click in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss out on the next video. Also, if you recreate this Valentine's Day look, share it with us by hashtagging Cirque Makeup. We'd love to see your look.